See, the National Guard of the United States is part of the Armed Forces of the United States, but they are made up of National Guard members from the individual states that are released for federal duty under the authority of the governor of every state. Anytime you see that National Guard troops are overseas, that has been authorized by the governors of the states. According to U.S. Code Title 10, in order to establish the legality, the purpose of the National Guard is to provide trained units for active duty in time of war or national emergency. We do not have a declared war, and we do not have a declared national emergency. Under U.S. Code Title 32, the National Guard is authorized by Article 1, Section 8, Clause 16 of the Constitution of the United States. They have a constitutional function. Under Article 1, Section 8, Clause 15, the Constitution states that the militia and the National Guard shall be called forth to execute the laws of the Union, suppress insurrections, and repel invasions. There is no clause anywhere in there for protecting the oil industry. There's no section in there that says they can be used for nation building. There's no mandate to police the world by using the National Guard. And there is no article or section of law that allows the Illinois National Guard to be used in any overseas missions, not to overthrow foreign dictators, not to suppress insurrection in any other sovereign country, or to participate in multinational peacekeeping missions under the control of other sovereign nations. Our country is built upon the idea that the Constitution is the supreme guide for every law and action of our federal government. The question that must be asked for every action, and that includes military actions, is it allowed by the Constitution? In the case of the Illinois National Guard being sent to fight in the sands of the Middle East, the answer is no. This is an example of how the United States military has expanded over the years to include over 865 bases around the world, and that doesn't include Iraq or Afghanistan. There's always seems to be room for a new mission, but never ever a reason to close a base. So now we have approximately 300,000 troops stationed overseas. Those who push our military further than our borders never stop to ask if we can afford to go there. And I don't just talk about the financial cost, I talk about the personal cost too, because there is a personal cost both to the military and their loved ones when our troops are stationed in the line of fire overseas. I'm not calling for isolationism, but I'm appealing to reason. In these difficult times, the Obama administration and Congress needs to seriously consider closing some of those bases, almost 1,000 bases worldwide. And just as importantly, we need to keep the National Guard of Illinois here. Their families need them home, and we need them home to help here at home. Let's bring the troops back.
This summer, it's going to be about 9 years since this country was under attack, and nearly 3,000 innocent people lost their lives, and billions of dollars were lost in asset and property. And no doubt that everybody here and everybody around this country, their lives changed dramatically. And we had to realize that we were facing a potential war, a war that was stranger than anything in our history. But within days, we discovered that this enemy was actually not a foreign country that was bent on capturing land and looking for resources. It was nothing more than an international terrorist organization and a rogue band of gangsters. And these gangsters had a problem. They had a problem with American interventionism abroad. It became clear that our goals and objectives were to capture Osama bin Laden and to get his cronies off and to seek justice. And it wasn't just for vengeance, but we need to restore the relations among nations that permit the orderly trade and travel, which are most important for peace and prosperity. We were united and we were resolved, and we were joined by an outrage in the international community. Everybody was willing to help us in our criminal investigation. Bin Laden should not have lasted a month, but it took real talent to waste an opportunity and instead turn it into the squabbling that we have today. On the flimsiest of pretenses, and against the considered views of most nations in the world and half of the American people, our federal government decided to invade Iraq. A country, a sovereign country, that was not connected in any way to the events of 9/11. And I say it is time that we bring these troops home now. Now, when you talk about Iraq, you know, I don't make that statement lightly about bringing our troops home. Saddam Hussein controlling Iraq was certainly not a friend of the United States. And there's no doubt that the day that those towers fell, he was probably laughing and happy to see what happened. But the fact is, they did not commit a crime against us, and they were no threat to us, as history has now proven. Now, since that time, over 5,000 of our finest men and women have been wasted. Our leaders classify the deaths of innocent civilians in those countries as collateral damage, as if that should ease their immense pain and suffering. Al-Qaeda and the Taliban are regaining their strength, and it only appears that our presence over there is their strongest tool for putting themselves back together. Iran is now vexed by our presence, and we make threatening statements against Yemen and Pakistan. And all the while we'll say we're spreading democracy over there, but the so-called Patriot Act is taking away our freedoms over here every day. Now, all the while we're doing this, the financial situation in this country is shaky at best. Unemployment is on a continual rise. Taxes are going to be going up left and right. And we are borrowing hand over fist from all places, China. And 9 years later, we still don't know where Osama bin Laden is. So are we better off today than we were the day after the towers fell? Are we? Are we better off today than we were?
No!
All right. Now our new president, the Nobel Peace Prize winner, for what he was going to do, not for what he's done, for what he was going to do. He was elected on the basis of hope and change, but he has neither changed the pointless policies of the policy of pointless occupation, and he has not given any hope to end it except for a vague promise that eventually we will get out of Iraq when the puppet government there has things under control. So it should be obvious that our federal government has failed to perform its first and most important task, and that is to protect our land against enemies, foreign and domestic. It has failed in its own stated goals to complete a criminal investigation. It has squandered international goodwill, bungled the defeat of the fallen Iraqi leader, has wasted and mismanaged billions, trillions of dollars, and even given aid to the enemy. All of this by mistake, I suppose. And now the fools in Washington say that when you go to war, if you break it, you bought it. Problem is they broke this country, and I want to know when they're going to fix it. When are they going to stop playing their war games and get back to the interest of the American people? I am sick and tired of satisfying their egos and pleasures with our blood and treasure.